Welcome back to BIM Heroes Radio. This is Episode 3,
Oh, yeah.
where we focus on communication skills in leadership.
Right.
You've been diving deep into a collection of articles this week,
Yeah.
all about honing those communication skills that are so crucial for leading effectively, especially in the AEC world.
So crucial. And it's fascinating because it's not just about being a good talker.
Right.
It's about understanding the nuances of how we interact, how we listen, how we persuade, and how we present ourselves, both verbally and non-verbally.
Exactly. We've got articles from some brilliant minds in the field this week.
Oh, yeah.
Larry Bridgesmith from Guardrail Technologies.
Okay.
Erica Crandon at Boeing.
Mm-hmm.
Maria Makri, an architect and BIM coordinator.
Okay.
Nicoleta Panagiotidou from BIM Design Hope.
Uh-huh.
Daria Zimovets, a BIM specialist at NIIAT.
Wow.
Maulik Gangani, a senior BIM expert at Tata Consulting Engineers.
Mm-hmm.
And even Ralph Montague himself weighed in. And, you know, it's interesting because they all tie these communication skills back to those 5 characteristics of leadership we talked about earlier.
Right.
Visionary, inspirational,
Yeah.
authentic, dynamic, and balanced.
Absolutely. Each of these articles provides a unique lens through which we can examine those leadership qualities.
Okay, let's unpack this.
Yeah.
Starting with the first article you shared by Larry Bridgesmith on active listening.
Okay.
Now, Larry Bridgesmith is executive director at Guardrail Technologies,
Right.
a company that specializes in software for the construction industry.
Okay.
He's got years of experience working with AEC professionals
Mm-hmm.
and understands the communication challenges they face.
Yeah.
So his perspective on active listening is particularly relevant for our deep dive this week.
Really is. And you know what stood out to me was
Yeah.
how he emphasized that active listening is more than just passively hearing words.
Right.
It's about truly engaging with the speaker, understanding their message, their emotions, and their intentions.
He even brought up that famous statistic.
Oh, yeah.
You know, the one that says only 7% of communication is conveyed through the actual words we speak.
Wow. Yeah.
The rest is all about those nonverbal cues.
Right.
Tone of voice, facial expressions, body language, a whole symphony of signals we often miss if we're not actively listening.
That's so true. I remember being in a meeting once where a colleague was verbally agreeing to a proposed plan, but their body language, crossed arms, furrowed brows, minimal eye contact, was practically shouting, "I disagree."
Wow.
Had I not been paying attention to those nonverbal cues, I would have missed a crucial opportunity to address their concerns.
That's such a great example.
Yeah.
And think about how many misunderstandings and conflicts could be avoided if we all just became better active listeners.
Exactly. And you know, it's about building trust, too.
Yeah.
When people feel truly heard, they're more likely to open up, share their ideas, and contribute to a more collaborative and productive environment.
And that's vital for any leader in the AEC industry, where projects often involve numerous stakeholders with diverse perspectives. Bridgesmith also gave some really practical tips for cultivating active listening,
Oh, yeah.
like asking clarifying questions,
Okay.
paraphrasing to ensure understanding,
Mm.
and reflecting back the speaker's emotions.
It's about putting aside your own thoughts for a moment and truly focusing on what the other person is saying.
Right.
It's a skill that requires practice, but the rewards are immense.
Okay, now let's shift gears
Okay.
and talk about verbal communication.
Okay.
You shared an article by Erica Crandon, a project manager at Boeing,
Yeah.
who had some brilliant insights on this topic.
Yes, she used this fantastic analogy of communication as a performance,
Interesting.
just like an actor on stage.
Okay.
A leader needs to think about their clarity, their tone, and their articulation.
Right.
These elements all play a crucial role in how the message is received and the impact it creates.
She stressed the importance of preparation.
Yeah. Before you even open your mouth to speak,
Right.
she says you need to be absolutely clear about the idea you're trying to convey.
Yeah.
Look at it from every angle. Weigh the pros and cons, refine your thinking. Only then can you effectively communicate your message.
And once you're ready to speak,
Yeah.
consider your tone.
Okay.
Is it appropriate for the message in the audience? Are you trying to inspire, inform, persuade, or soothe?
Right.
Your tone of voice can significantly influence how your message is received.
And then there's articulation.
Yeah.
Choosing the right words to express your ideas clearly and concisely. It's about ensuring your language is accessible to your audience.
Right.
You don't want to lose them in a sea of technical jargon or overly complex sentences.
Crandon argued that clarity and conciseness are particularly important in the AEC industry,
Right.
where effective communication can be the difference between a project's success or failure.
Yeah.
Misinterpretations or ambiguity in communication can lead to costly mistakes, delays, and conflicts.
Now, speaking of communication that goes beyond words,
All right.
Maria Makri's article on nonverbal communication really caught my attention.
Yes. Maria, who, as you mentioned, is a BIM coordinator and architect,
Uh-huh.
brought up how much we communicate without even saying a word.
It's true.
Our facial expressions, eye contact, gestures, posture,
Right.
they all contribute to the message we're sending.
She argued that being aware of our own nonverbal cues and learning to read those of others is critical for building trust and understanding.
Yeah.
I think we all instinctively know this, right? We've all had those moments where someone's words say one thing,
Right.
but their body language screams something completely different.
Think about it. If someone tells you they're excited about a project,
Yeah.
but their shoulders are slumped,
Right.
their gaze is averted, and their voice lacks enthusiasm, are you really going to believe their words? Most likely, you'll trust the nonverbal cues more.
It's like when someone says, "I'm fine," but they're frowning and avoiding eye contact.
Right.
Their words might say, "fine,"
Yeah.
but their body is clearly communicating something else.
Exactly. Paying attention to those nonverbal signals can give you a much deeper understanding of what's truly going on.
Yeah.
Makri emphasizes that this is especially important for leaders who need to build rapport, inspire trust, and create a sense of connection with their teams.
And of course, we can't forget about ourselves.
Right.
We need to be mindful of our own nonverbal communication to ensure it aligns with the message we want to convey.
It's about being authentic and genuine in our interactions.
Yeah.
People can often sense when our words and body language are misaligned.
Right.
And that can erode trust.
This is all so fascinating.
Yeah.
It's like a whole new layer of communication we need to be attuned to.
Yeah.
Now let's dive into Nicoleta Panagiotidou's article on constructive feedback.
Okay.
Panagiotidou, who is the founder of BIM Design Hub, really hit the nail on the head when she highlighted the distinction between feedback and criticism. Feedback, she argues, is about helping someone improve,
Right.
not just pointing out their flaws.
It's about approaching feedback with a growth mindset.
Right.
Believing that people can change and develop their skills with the right guidance and support.
And she stressed that word choice is paramount when giving feedback.
Yeah.
Avoiding language that sounds accusatory or judgmental is key.
Right.
Instead, we should focus on specific behaviors and outcomes and offer concrete suggestions for improvement.
Right.
She even suggested starting with something positive.
Oh, really?
For example, instead of saying,
Yeah.
your presentation was disorganized and confusing,
Yeah.
you could say, I really appreciated the effort you put into your presentation.
Okay.
I noticed that the flow of information could be improved.
Right.
Perhaps you could try organizing your slides in a more logical sequence.
That's a much more constructive and encouraging approach, isn't it?
Absolutely. And remember, it's not just about giving feedback.
Right.
It's also about being open to receiving it.
Yeah.
It can be tough to hear that we need to improve,
Yeah.
but it's essential for growth.
Try to listen without getting defensive.
Right.
And ask clarifying questions if you need to. And don't forget to thank the person for their feedback.
Yeah.
Even if it wasn't easy to hear.
Yeah.
Their willingness to provide feedback shows they care about your development.
Okay, now let's move on to a topic that often makes people a bit nervous.
Oh, yeah.
Persuasion.
Yeah.
Larry Bridgesmith returned with another thought-provoking article,
Okay.
this time exploring the art of persuasion and influence.
What was intriguing about his perspective was that he argued effective persuasion isn't about forcing your views on others, but about helping them change their own minds.
I love that he talked about understanding their needs,
Right.
finding common ground, and presenting your ideas in a way that resonates with their values and goals.
He emphasized the importance of asking open-ended questions.
Yeah.
It's not about putting words in their mouth, but inviting them to think critically, share their own perspectives, and arrive at their own conclusions.
And he cautioned against being a tin god leader.
Oh, yeah.
You know, the kind who thinks they have all the answers and just barks orders at everyone.
Right.
That kind of leadership, he argued, often leads to resistance and resentment rather than true buy-in.
He advocated for a more collaborative and persuasive approach, where leaders guide and inspire rather than command and control.
Now, speaking of inspiring, let's talk about Daria Zimovets' article on public speaking.
Okay.
Daria, who's a BIM specialist at NIIAT, a prominent research institute in Russia, shared some incredible tips on captivating an audience, even if you're not naturally comfortable speaking in front of a crowd.
She covered a lot of ground. Storytelling, engaging with the audience, using visual aids effectively.
Right.
All valuable techniques for effective public speaking.
But what resonated with me most was how she linked public speaking to personal development. It's not just about giving a good presentation.
Yeah.
It's about pushing yourself outside your comfort zone and building confidence.
She even shared some examples of outstanding public speeches.
Oh, really?
Like Steve Jobs' Stanford commencement address and Martin Luther King Jr.'s I Have a Dream speech. These are powerful examples of how public speaking can transcend mere information delivery and become a catalyst for change and inspiration.
And she made the point that even if you're not aiming to deliver a world-changing speech, the skills you develop through public speaking, clarity, confidence, composure, will serve you well in all areas of your life, including leadership.
Absolutely. It's about honing those skills that allow you to effectively communicate your vision, share your ideas, and inspire action. And it's a journey of continuous improvement. The more you practice, the more confident and impactful you'll become.
Now let's shift gears to a skill that's often overlooked, but incredibly valuable for leaders. Writing. You shared articles by Maulik Gangani from Tata Consulting Engineers, and of course Ralph Montague from BIMHero.io, both of whom emphasized the power of writing.
It's interesting because they both stressed that writing is more than just reports and emails. It's a way to clarify your thinking and make complex ideas accessible to others.
Gangani argued that strong writing skills are essential for AEC leaders who need to effectively communicate with clients, colleagues, and stakeholders.
And Montague went even further, calling writing formalized thinking.
Formalized thinking.
He said that the act of writing forces you to slow down, organize your thoughts and articulate them in a way that others can understand. It's a process of refining your ideas and presenting them in a clear and compelling manner.
That's such a great way to put it. It's like taking all those swirling thoughts in your head and giving them structure and coherence.
Exactly. And that's an incredibly valuable skill for any leader who needs to communicate complex ideas, make persuasive arguments, or document their decisions and rationale.
Montague offers some really practical tips on crafting effective communication. For example, he suggests starting by deciding on the impact you want your message to have. What do you want the reader to think, feel, or do after reading your message?
He also stressed the importance of providing context, doing your research to ensure accuracy, and avoiding jargon that might confuse your audience.
And he emphasized the need for clarity and conciseness. Get to the point quickly and use language that is easily understood.
He even advised testing your ideas by getting feedback from someone you trust. Be open to their suggestions, even if it means revising your work.
It's clear that writing, just like the other communication skills we've discussed, is a crucial tool for effective leadership.
And what's really interesting is how all of these communication skills tie back to those 5 enduring characteristics of leadership: visionary, inspirational, authentic, dynamic, and balanced. It's like they're the threads that weave these qualities together.
You know, that's something I noticed as I was reading through these articles this week. For example, how can you be a truly visionary leader if you can't effectively communicate that vision to your team? You need to be able to paint a picture with your words, inspire them to see the possibilities, and get them excited about working towards a common goal.
Think about those iconic leaders throughout history, people like Martin Luther King Jr. with his powerful speeches, or Steve Jobs and his captivating presentations. They were all masters of communication. They knew how to connect with people on an emotional level and move them to action.
And that's what leadership is all about. It's not about sitting in an ivory tower barking orders. It's about getting everyone on board with a shared vision. And working together to achieve it. And communication is the key that unlocks that potential.
It's fascinating how both Larry Bridgesmith and Ralph Montague emphasize the importance of understanding the other person's perspective active listening, asking open-ended questions, considering their needs.
Yeah.
It's not about manipulating them into agreeing with you.
Right. It's about creating a dialogue.
Yeah.
Where everyone feels heard and respected, and where you can genuinely find common ground.
Right.
It's about helping them change their own minds, not just blindly follow orders.
That reminds me of a situation I faced a while back.
Oh, yeah.
We were trying to implement a new project management system.
Okay.
And there was a lot of resistance from the team.
Yeah.
Initially, I tried to just explain the benefits of the new system and why it was better than the old one.
Right.
But it wasn't until I started actively listening to their concerns, acknowledging their frustrations, and involving them in the decision-making process, that they started to come around.
That's a perfect example of how understanding someone's perspective can be so powerful.
Yeah.
And it highlights how crucial active listening is.
Right.
Not just for gathering information, but for building relationships and fostering trust.
This whole deep dive has really made me reflect on my own communication skills and areas where I can improve. I think we all tend to fall into certain patterns and habits.
Right.
And sometimes we need a little nudge to shake things up and try something new.
Absolutely. Me too.
Yeah.
It's a continuous journey, right? It's not like you reach a certain level of communication mastery and then you're done.
Right.
It's about constantly learning, practicing, and refining your skills.
I think even small improvements can make a big difference.
Yeah.
Like being more mindful of our tone of voice, or making a conscious effort to really listen to what others are saying without interrupting or formulating our response in our heads.
Or how about challenging ourselves to write more clearly and concisely?
Yeah.
Maybe start a blog.
Yeah.
Or write an article for an industry publication. Or even just commit to writing more thoughtful emails.
Right.
Every little bit helps.
And the great thing is there are so many resources available to help us improve.
Yeah.
The BIMHero.io community is a fantastic place to connect with other AEC professionals, share experiences, and learn from each other.
That's a great reminder. The BIMHero.io community is such a valuable resource for anyone in the AEC industry.
It is.
And speaking of resources, do you have any final thoughts for our listeners as they continue their leadership journey?
I think the biggest takeaway from this deep dive is that communication is the foundation of effective leadership.
Yeah.
It's not just something you do on the side.
Right.
It's woven into every aspect of what it means to lead.
So make it a priority.
Exactly. Invest the time and effort to develop your skills and keep practicing.
And remember, it's not about being perfect.
Yeah.
It's about being authentic, engaging, and genuinely interested in connecting with others.
The more you hone your communication, the more impactful you'll be as a leader.
And on that note, we encourage all our listeners to check out the free leadership program and community site on www.beamhero.io.
It's an incredible resource filled with valuable insights, practical tips, and a supportive community of AEC professionals who are all on this leadership journey together.
And don't forget to subscribe to BIM Heroes Radio on YouTube and Spotify so you don't miss an episode.
We're adding new content all the time to help you grow as a leader in the AEC world.
And remember, it's not just about mastering one specific communication skill.
It's about developing a whole toolkit of communication strategies that you can use in different situations.
It's like a Swiss Army knife of communication.
Exactly. So you might need active listening when you're trying to understand a team member's concerns.
Persuasive writing when you're crafting a project proposal.
Clear and concise verbal communication when you're giving instructions.
And engaging storytelling when you're presenting to a large audience.
It's about being adaptable and knowing which tool to use when.
And like any tool, the more you use it, the sharper it gets.
So keep practicing, keep experimenting, and don't be afraid to step outside your comfort zone.
I think that's such an important point.
Yeah.
Sometimes we get so stuck in our routines that we forget to challenge ourselves.
Right.
Maybe you've always been hesitant to speak up in meetings.
Yeah.
Well, why not make a conscious effort to contribute more?
Or maybe you struggle with writing concisely.
Yeah.
Challenge yourself to write a blog post or an article.
The more you push yourself, the more you'll grow.
And who knows? You might even discover hidden talents you never knew you had.
Exactly. And the BIMHero.io community is a great place to practice those skills in a safe and supportive environment.
That's right.
You can share your writing, get feedback from others, and even collaborate on projects.
It's a fantastic resource for anyone who wants to improve their communication skills and connect with other AEC professionals.
Well, I think we've covered a lot of ground today.
We have.
Is there anything else you want to add before we wrap up?
Just one final thought.
Okay.
Communication is more than just a set of skills.
Right.
It's a mindset.
No.
It's about approaching every interaction with a genuine desire to understand and be understood.
It's about building bridges instead of walls.
And it's about creating a world where everyone feels heard and valued.
So go out there and be a communication hero.
And until next time, keep leading, keep learning, and keep communicating.
We'll see you in the next episode of BIM Heroes Radio.